So this 26-year-old woman from Senegal, she doesn't want to date a man over 30. She likes to travel to different countries. She likes to do these weekend trips. As she told me, she'll drive like 5 hours away or so to go to another state, just to enjoy the weekend and stuff like that. So I tried to understand, the different. I tried to also ask her about her culture as far as dating and select them in order. And across cultures, typically it's normal, and this is just across all cultures, according to Dr. Jordan Peterson, he would say that women select men that are 4 years over across many cultures, right? But this young woman, I believe she was more concerned, talking to her for a little bit, she was more concerned about the stigma about dating someone in Senegal. And she said because people would look at her if she dated older men. But I was telling her, I said, well, if she's 26, I would think the oldest that she should date is up to 47 years old, is what I told her. So she was like, yeah, but I just don't know. And that's maybe too much. I don't want a man more than 4 years. And I was like, well, you're 26. So I said, well, don't you know that most African men, they don't date women on their age level or older than them. I said, I don't understand that, but I mean, not shooting her views down. I was just like, okay, well, you do know this, right? So that's what I wanted to think. So I just started probing a little bit more to get her to answer some more questions. So I asked her, does she want to get married? I asked her, how much is she paying per month in rent alone by herself? And she's paying about close to $2,000. And I was like, okay. And she wants to get married, likes to travel, but I started to think that maybe she doesn't understand the statistics, so her math isn't mathing, or maybe she's not being pragmatic in trying to get in a relationship. Because the other thing that I noticed was that when I asked her, I said, hey, are you going out anywhere? It's like, well, I work through the week. I don't really, I go out sometimes, but I don't go out alone. I was like, well, you need to go out by yourself. You need to go to, if you're trying to get married and you're 26 years old, you need to dress up nice. You need to get you a nice manicure, pedicure, dress nice, smell good, and make sure your hair looks nice, and go out to a nice restaurant, go out by yourself, go to a nice cafe, go to a shopping mall or outlet. Even though I don't think I ever picked up any woman for the mall or whatever. It's not my thing. It's not my theme to be around like a lot of people like that at once, because I'll get like a little claustrophobic. If I had to go to the mall, I'm in and out. That's not something that I like going. If I do tend to go to the mall, I tend to order my stuff offline, and then I probably have to go pick it up from the store and I'm out. But that's not something I do, not unless if I was with a woman I'm dating and she want to go to the mall, then I'll be just open just to go. Other than that, that's not my scene. So I was just telling her that to try to get her to get out of her comfort zone and to start putting herself out there to give herself more options. But then I'm still stuck on it with this 4-year window thing, to where she's 26 and doesn't want a man over 30 years old. I just didn't understand that. And the reason why I said that, because in some countries, women, there you go. So tired. So in some countries, women outnumber men. And it also depends on the city they live in. Someone lives in, when you're looking for relationships. And I know they have online dating too, and that's beginning to be like a big thing, and it's been success for some people. But we also have to remember, like I did a broadcast like maybe weeks ago, like 3-4 weeks ago, something like maybe 5, I don't know, probably 5 weeks ago. And I was talking about how like only 49% of people, there was a study done, I don't know if it was done in Europe or if it was done in the US, but it was talking about how like only 49% of people are looking to date. It probably was in the US that said only like 49% of people are looking to, for relationships. But like, give you an example, like when I looked at a few countries and I looked it up and I saw that in Colombia, women outnumber men, and that's a place with like beautiful women. Most of those women in Colombia and Venezuela, they've won the most beauty pageants in the world. And of course, I would say like one of my favorites is probably the Ukraine women, because those women are so beautiful. But I like Arab women too, and I like I remember me going to Dubai, and man, Dubai, men outnumber women in Dubai. But of course, I imagine because it's so rich, and most women there, I imagine they want a guy that probably has some financial stability, and not just that. I noticed that there's some beautiful women from certain parts of India, like I like me Pakistani women, women in Bangladesh or Kashmir. There's a beautiful woman too, but in India, I believe it said that men outnumber women in India. So in Spain, you have women outnumber men there. France, in the U.S. has some beautiful women. I think the only thing is like some of their mindset is like way off to where the expectations that they have for man and their the preferences, is it like I don't know. It's tough. What I try not to do is give energy to that type of thinking. UK has some gorgeous, beautiful women, and they right along sometimes with the US way of thinking. I say the UK only because I tend to watch other videos, but I know that's only like a little anecdotal thing to like of what I can't really take like a small group of people and then characterize all, but I noticed that when I was in London a couple months ago, London, UK, I noticed that a couple of men there, I kept taking like, what is that? I'm using a ride at Bolt or something, because the train system was down that day, and man, them rides, and like, it was so expensive. It would be like 90 something pounds to go 20 something minutes. It was a good day for the ride sharing apps. And I didn't take black taxi and that like that. I know that would probably be, way more. But anyways, so when I was talking to these gentlemen, they would tell me, the men are afraid to talk to women in London because, I guess the laws, favorable to women and whatever. So that's London. As I said, the women in Bangladesh, very beautiful women. I like the Punjabi woman with that long jet black hair. I remember I was talking to one, and she always used to work at the little gas station, and she would call me. So I'd come in the store to get something. She would be like, "Hey, big money, big money, big money," and I was like. So one day she went and she got her hair. Well, before that, she takes out her phone and showed me the picture. I'm like, oh, I said, dang. I said, who's that? She says, that's me. I was like, no. And the reason why I say no, because if you see her, it's like she's got on it looked like she's got on a shirt, sweater, and she got a coat that looked like the coat don't fit her. It looked like it's supposed to be on a baby. Her pants high water, and she's got on these big shoes and sneakers. And I'm like, dang, she dressed a little tacky, man. So so then eventually she's showing me these pictures of her and showing me pictures in the phone. I'm like, who's that? So she's like, that's me. And I was like, oh. So eventually she goes and take like this little stick thing out her hair and she started twisting around, and show that long hair. That girl here went to her knees. I said, dang. I said, oh, girl was tight. So, but as I say, women outnumber men in Bangladesh. And that was from I got a lot of subscribers from India, so that's why I elaborated on that a little bit more. Got subscribers from India and Bangladesh, so shout out to them. They support me a lot. Thank you for that. You have more women in Costa Rica than men. You have more women in Switzerland than men. So there's a lot of competition when you say, oh, well, you want a man that can provide some financial stability, but then you don't want to date a man that's more than 4 years older than you. And that's understandable. I understand that. But I think when you're 26 years old, it's like, and then the other thing is not like she's putting herself out there, it seems. Maybe she could be, but she's telling me, hey, I go out with other people, but I don't go out by myself. I don't know. So that's that. And sometimes, when these women, you see more and more women, like I was talking to her and I said, women these days, I said, it's almost like you hear a lot of them saying, oh, I want to travel. I want to travel. And I say, these women want to travel and then they don't understand how much money is needed for like the flights. Me for a flight, I know that's going to be from in US dollars, 15 to 2,000. And one thing I don't like sometimes, it's like, this is what I noticed when buying flight tickets. It's like if you fly out the US, ticket prices are twice as much as they are if you're coming from Europe or Asia or something and coming to the US. It's like almost double the price. And I was like, I asked one of the airline customer service reps this, and it's like, well, I think what it is, they expecting U.S. citizens because they say we working and we making money. I was like, yeah, that's cool, but at the same time, I just don't understand that. To where it's like it's more cost effective if you bought your ticket. Well, better probably just live outside the U.S. Anyways, so what I started noticing is that a lot of women like to go, travel. So I told the young lady, I said, today you see a lot of women kind of letting the masculine energy come up, especially in the U.S. And I'm not saying that it is in other places around the world, because it probably is in Europe and some parts of the Middle East, like a more relaxed place like the UAE. Now, I would probably say like places like Oman and Oman, Kuwait, and Iran, and all those places. I don't think that they, women just can't be just, so free and talking about they're going to be showing everything or engaging in all these dangerous activities. Like I told a young lady, I said, even with today, you see more women, they want to let that little boy out. So I said they want to jump out of airplanes. They want to do all these dangerous activities that insurance don't even cover. They want to go skydiving. They want to go deep sea diving. All kind of stuff that like I remember going out, was that probably We do that. Sometime at the beginning of last year, a young lady, we went out and she was like, um, let's 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 go snorkeling. I think it was snorkeling or deep sea diving or something. And we was somewhere and we surfing. We went surfing. And she says, we was talking about something, she was talking about doing another activity, water activity, water sport activity. And I was like, you do forget, I showed her a picture of Jaws. I said, you do, she was like, I forgot those things were out there. I'm like, I said that was crazy. Anyways, moving along. So now it's like these days, it's almost like you have to ask yourself as a man, but at the same time, not really worry about it too much. But I know a lot of men think about it and say, hey, does this woman really like being around me? Does she love me? Or is she just here for the lifestyle? Here, because you hear like now it's more of this thing to where, oh, traveling and even you see all these. Well, you see multiple airlines having issues with their planes and stuff. But I try not to focus on that because I like flying too. Like I love it. So it's like sometimes when I think about it, it's just me, praying and hopefully God will inshallah that I will never have to experience anything like some of the folks that have been in some of these situations where the plane tends to has failure. The other thing that I noticed, probably like I mentioned before, like a lot of men, women are asking the question, so why are a lot of men not choosing to bother, not wanting to ask them out? Because uh, men are staying home. Men can cook. They rather go on the weekends and spend time with their guy friends. So it's a little rough out there for some people. So I understand that what suits one person may not suit others. While this young lady was, her and I were discussing, her problems with age gap dating, right? So as we're discussing it, and eventually now I'm about to turn over and go to sleep. So I picked up my phone and I went on TikTok. So as I'm going on TikTok, I noticed that I'm on TikTok and a live video just pops up. So as I look and this live video pops up, and I said, so now there's this beautiful Peruvian girl, and she's saying, oh, I'm going to give a lucky guy. She said, I'm looking for a boyfriend and hopefully a husband. So I'm gonna give a lucky guy who's gonna come up on this live and give him a chance. I'm like, I said, I gotta watch this. So it's like probably like 12 something going or 1 o'clock in the morning. so of course paying attention to the live. So then I start noticing, I start asking questions, and she was like, she wants to get married in 6 months, she's looking for a guy, blah blah blah. So I was like, okay. Because she was just answering all my questions. But what I noticed is that a few guys came up on the show. First guy came up, he was, you would think that they were having a good conversation between one another. And she was like, okay, that's nice, okay. How old are you? So he says, 24. The dang on call just dropped. And I was like, did something happen here? Or she dropped it. Another guy comes up, something wrong with his, I don't know, something wrong with his screen or microphone or something. So that went away. So another guy comes up. Oh, I'm from here, blah, 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 I'm from Germany. And she's like, oh, I'm from Miami, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm looking for a guy, blah, 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 nice to meet you. And you would think that she was attracted to him because she did tell him, oh, you look nice, blah, blah, blah. And, how tall are you, blah, blah, blah. So eventually it seemed to be going smooth. So next thing she asked him, she said, how old are you? And I believe he said either he's 21 or 23 or something like that. Click, drop. I said, dang. So I put in the comment section, I said, well, what age or what age group are you looking for, man? She's like, well, I want a man that is at least about 35 years old. And I said, dang. I said, okay, so this 26-year-old, she's like, she don't want nobody for it. I said, okay, everybody's different. And then this 22-year-old Peruvian woman, she wants 135. This girl is beautiful. And it just had me thinking, because I remember that I went out on a date. I went on a nice date with this Arab girl. Say Arab because I don't want to give out too much information. So I went out on a date with this Arab girl, and I didn't know that. So all I was thinking when I got her number, I said, well, if she's old enough to serve alcohol in this restaurant, I imagine she's at least over 21. So now I got her phone number. So a couple of days later, we went out. So, and it was like, okay, I got, her phone number, I think like the next day or 2 days later or something like that, we went out. So we're out and she's sitting to the right of me. And she asked me, she says, how old do you think I am? And I say, 24, 25? She's like, no, I'm 21. And I said, huh. So she says, how old are you? And I say, 30. She said, yes. I say, huh. I said, so that was remember. But she says, because I was waiting, we were at a Italian restaurant. I was waiting on the bread and the oil because I'm like, why do they give us bread and don't bring the dang on oil? That don't make sense. So, or you either just don't have it on the table. So, so I noticed this. So I asked her. I said, and this is a beautiful, gorgeous woman too. So I said, you 21? I said, you say yes. I said, why you want an older man? She said, because I like this. I like this. And I said, what do you mean you like this? And she's like, I like how you dress. You dress very nice. And I said, why you don't want a man on your age? And this was a 21-year-old Arab Muslim woman. And I said, why you don't want a man on your age like 22, 23, 24? So she says, I don't want it. It's not like I don't think they mature enough for me. I don't like it. And I'm like, So okay, she must be has a bad experience with dating, trying to date men on her age. So I was like, I just left it alone. So move on from there. So back to the 22 Peruvian girl. I asked her in the comment section on the live because of course I was just talking to a girl in Senegal a few hours later. Then all of a sudden I was like, look at this. This must be something from the laws of the universe that this 22-year-old is now she's saying that she wants a guy 30, around 35. I was like, God dang. So I put something in the comments because she just kept answering my questions. So I put something in the comment section and I said, why is it that you want a man 30-something years old? And she didn't mention financial stability. She said wisdom. She said, I believe men in their 30s and older men have more wisdom than men. And I said, well, I can understand it. It's like they've probably experienced things in life and went through things to where they could help someone younger, kind of give them some type of security to where not just financial security, but able to make pragmatic decisions in life to get further ahead.